So the time is 10 and we shall begin. Welcome to Cambridgeshire County Council's Shareholder Subcommittee. The Council allows filming and photography at its public meetings, so please feel free to take pictures and use social media during the meeting. Can I ask, though, that everyone present turns their mobile phones to silent or vibrate whilst the meeting is taking place? Please be aware that this meeting is being live streamed and that a recording of the meeting will be available to view on the County Council's website. There is no fire alarm test scheduled for today, so if the alarm sounds, I will adjourn the meeting and we will leave via the side doors and use the fire escape next to the kitchen to make our way to the assembly point in the car park. I'm actually going to begin with what I would put at the end, but we will be moving into confidential session. So I would like to thank all the officers and the members who have been involved in this subcommittee. We've done a lot of work. It's been quite intense. It hasn't been in existence for very long, but I think we've achieved a lot and we have put a lot of effort into it. And there's been an extraordinary amount of work on everybody's part. So thank you very much. Item 1 is apologies for absence and declarations of interest. Would the Democratic Services Manager report any apologies for absence?
I have apologies from Councillor Gowing, and Councillor Machini, I think, is arriving imminently.
Yes, I've been advised that Councillor Machini will be here soon. Right, now, does any member wish to declare any disclosable pecuniary interest or non-statutory disclosable interest? Councillor Murphy.
Well, I am the shareholder representative for Pathfinder.
Thank you. Item number 2. We have been asked to approve the minutes of the Shareholder Subcommittee on 26 February 2025 as an accurate record. If any member does not agree, would you raise your hand now? I see no objections to the proposal to approve the minutes as an accurate record, so we will take that as carried unanimously. Item number 3 is public questions and petitions. We have received no public questions or petitions. Item number 4. This is the This Land Limited board recruitment. The Executive Director of Finance and Resources is to introduce this item.
Thank you, Chair. Real quick introduction from myself in terms of the current position as set out at paragraph 2.2 under the articles in the shareholder agreement about the required directorship of the company and its board, sets out the position in relation to the directors from the company and the non-executive and independent directors. You'll note at paragraph 3.1, there are currently a number of vacancies. You will also note at paragraph 3.2, one of the independent non-exec directors, Miss Wendy Colgrave, position ends or can be extended in late September of this year, and it's suggested, and from conversations with Ms. Colgrave, that is acceptable to carry on for the remaining period, and she would be keen in terms of how the business plan develops to look at then any extensions. I would also draw members' attention to paragraph 2.6 and 2.8 around guidance that has been provided through local partnerships in relation to local authority traded companies and board membership, which looks at lessons learnt from across the last decade, as well as 2.8 note referencing the Avison Young review that was carried out in 2021-2022, which identified the need for stronger skills within the board, of which the current chair, as appointed by the last committee, and Ms. Colgrave were appointed to recognise a certain skills gap at that particular time. So looking at where the company is at and its current business plan development, which this committee is aware through previous papers to this committee, it is going to be incredibly important that when looking at the vacant positions, there is a skill set that is required, particularly around those bullets that I've noted at paragraph 3.4. The remaining point that I just wanted to cover is really paragraphs 3.6 and 3.7, noting that there is an awful lot to do over the next period, noting the guidance from local partnership that I've referenced, and noting the position of the upcoming county elections, and the skill set required at 3.4. It is suggested that all three non-executive appointments are made from independent external appointments, and that is the way forward in terms of the recruitment process, which is the recommendation, and then to report an update back to this committee, recognizing that the appointment of these people with this skill set is critical to this subcommittee in terms of its assurance that the board is running effectively and is taking due diligence and governance seriously in terms of its follow through of holding the company's officers to account and fulfilling their role under the Companies Act. Finish there, Chair.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or debate? In which case, I will ask a question. So, if we look at the makeup of the board, we are being asked to recruit for. So it's one of the we're being asked to no longer have a county councillor as a non-executive director. Is that the suggestion so far? Yep.
That would be correct, Chair.
And we're treating that as one of the non-executive roles that we are recruiting for.
Yes, clearly one of the options could be to have a smaller non-executive membership, or larger. This present moment in time, given the level of diligence and the workload over the next 12 months, it will involve considerable capacity and skill set of the board in terms of the delivery that is expected, and certainly I know that capacity is an issue that has been flagged by a number of the directors over the last 12 months.
Councillor Murphy.
So a couple of questions. One is in looking at the skill set that's required, there's 5 things that are sort of identified, 5 areas: legal and governance, risk management, etc. There's obviously also, I mean, when a company is in a period of change, whether that's growing or shrinking, sort of business development, but also change, corporate transformation or whatever. Are they in these bullets somewhere? Is that assumed? Because I would have thought that we should put a premium on business development and business transformation skills, because they are different. If a lot of these, the experience gained by people will be from sort of large organizations that haven't really got a problem in business development or transformation, or working in an SME environment, which is quite different. So I just think there's that as well.
Yeah, it's a really good point, referencing back some of the discussions we've had, obviously, in this committee in confidential sessions. I think when we look at the last 2 bullet points there, whilst change management isn't particularly referenced, the position on project management and strategic aspects is inclusive for me in terms of that element of what we mean by change. We're not talking about an organisation, to be really clear, for for public record, that's going to move from housing to another type of business. This is the grip and the focus of delivery through this arm, and part of that is going to need to be strong project change as well, but also strategic and elements of change within that. So I think they are not implicit in that, but we can make that clear in terms of recruitment.
Councillor Murphy.
Yeah, and if I could come back, because I think business development in a type of industry where there's quite a long lead in to sort of establishing a sort of stable, path. Business development is a really important thing. So hopefully that can be more explicit in the recruitment process, but also in terms of corporate partnering. So one of the things that people sometimes do is have a NED that is representing an organization that they're in partnership with or joint venture with or potential investor, etc. So is that is the potential partnering going to precede the recruitment of the NEDs so that this could be a possibility?
So I confirm that it wouldn't be part of the proceeding, but I think, as we look to explore a whole range of options, we would want somebody with that skill set and experience that can bring that to the table in both the shaping of that from the company's behalf, but also to provide that check and challenge that we may be able to support, but also question through this subcommittee.
David.
The member role. At 2.2, the two council nominated non-executive directors, currently a member and a chief officer. These positions have a wider role, providing the independent and constructive challenge. Yet you're doing away with the independent. So you're doing away with the member role. How can you? 1 minute you're saying it's a constructive challenge, and next minute you're doing away with it. Can you clarify that, please?
Yeah, it's a really good point, and clearly what we do want is that level of challenge still within a non-executive director role, because one of the options could have been to remove that role. I think there's a couple of points. One, in terms of the expectation on draws of capacity over the next 12 months, that will be considerable upon that individual's time, or the successful candidate's individual. And secondly, it's the level of expected skill set that may or may not be forthcoming from the democratic process that will follow through in May. I would also add that if you look at the local partnership guidance and the lessons learnt, that ability to balance that conflict that will often exist, and recognizing that that is possible to be managed, but it does put an additionality onto the role when that is a councillor in post, and given the level of decisions that will be needed across the next 12 months, my advice is that is something that can be filled by an external, still to the same level of diligence that's set out there.
Michael, I agree but disagree, but we'll stay at, let's keep it that, yes.
So if I could ask, so currently we have a councillor who is on the board. So, but when they sit on the, so firstly, whereas other board members receive a salary for it, the councillor doesn't. Neither does the neither does the officer member. So it's quite a draw of time which you're effectively giving. So I think I can see how you might not be able to give the amount of time. So there's a challenge there with having a councillor as a non-executive director. Also, as if we could get some clarity about when they sit on the board, their responsibility is to the company, isn't it? How does that, and what is their relationship with currently, what is their relationship with the council as a board member?
It's a really important question related back to the learning as well as tying into the Avison Young and then the improvements that have been made since that, including this subcommittee. So the county council sits as an entity as the shareholder, and that's discharged through this subcommittee. And then the go-between between the company as the shareholder representative, which is myself appointed through my Section 151 officer role. The board directors, from whichever direction they are appointed from, have a duty as set out under paragraph 2.3 to the company, and that's where their duties lie. I think one of the points that's flagged up in the local partnership is often that is conflicted or confused, where it is a council representative sitting on the board are sometimes viewed as in a de facto the shareholders' views. They're clearly not the shareholders' views. They are purely there for the company. And one of the things that this subcommittee was created for was to enable that clear steer to myself as the shareholder representative, reflecting your democratically elected peers through this subcommittee, is that direction of choice that I can then communicate to. But also importantly, that this subcommittee can hold that board to account, that board also including the chief executive officer and the chief financial officer of the company, as well as the non-executive and independent directors. And I think that is an incredible improved, strengthened position that gives that clarity to both the public, the company, and your peer elected members, as well as to myself. So I think that golden triangle, as it were, of the subcommittee, the shareholder representative, and the board is needing to work effectively through reporting to this subcommittee, and this subcommittee giving that direction. And I think that's the bit that has really been strengthened over the last 12 months.
Just so I understand it,
Yeah, I think to clarify that it is strengthened governance and clarity in terms of that roles. So I was approached yesterday by the company around a matter to which I was able to say I don't have delegation unless I go to committee to get that delegation. That stems from the approval of the business plan. It stems from you giving direction over the shareholders agreement and the articles of association. I act as the representative on your behalf, and that clarity to the company, and therefore their clarity of any council representative sitting on the board, it is helpful that this subcommittee exists to give that purpose and direction to myself and to the company.
So yes, thank you. That's really helpful. So the company sits separately, and there's almost like, and this is almost like the bridge that scrutinizes it. And before that sort of that relationship was far hazier before. I mean, it almost feels to me like a drawing on the website would be helpful just to explain that relationship, because there has been a lot of confusion about it.
Yeah, I think that strategic intent and grip, that scrutiny role of the company sits with this subcommittee. So if there are proposed changes such as are brought forward today, it comes from this committee considering what level of governance it wants, what level of control it wants to ensure, that it has to ensure the governance of the company, as well as things like the business plan in terms of the direction. That is set by councillors sitting on the subcommittee representing your peers, I then am able to have that discussion in terms of that is within my delegations to then go out and recruit, as is in this case. But you set the direction, and that gives the clarity to the company as to why we are doing things and why we want that direction. But it's also right and proper, as has happened and as will happen, that the company sits in these meetings and is present to explain its quarterly performance, any changes that it wishes to pursue, its business plan, and it's being held to account alongside that delivery of the business plan.
Thank you. I mean, I think that's very helpful. So the company operates at arm's length. The shareholder representative talks to the company, but there are quarterly opportunities for the shareholder subcommittee to come face to face with this land and have those direct conversations and really everyone to see the whites of each other's eyes. Can I ask about the recruitment process? So would you be recruiting simultaneously, or would it be because presumably if you're looking for specific skills, you might find someone who's it's not until you know how you fill the roles where the gaps are.
The intention, if subcommittee are supportive, is that we will use headhunting agents to go to the market to identify a range of CVs that will fulfill this skill set. We will then look to carry out an interview process. That will be led by the council, because it's a council appointments, which is clear through the shareholders agreement. And then we will be able to assess whether we have the full skill set. And of course, it is, as we see within our current independent director positions, capable that people have more than one skill set within the range here. But we are looking for that blend across, and this was one of the points that the review commissioned through Avison Young identified. It has been identified by our external auditors as well in their value for money report that recently went to the audit committee. So we will look to run that process between now and the next committee, and to come forward with an update to this committee in terms of what that recruitment has been able to deliver. And hopefully we will be able to get all 3 posts filled, but I will continue to brief the committee post May and at the next committee as to where we've progressed on that.
Any other questions? Okay. In which case, we'll move to the recommendations. This committee is recommended to A, note the contents of the report and delegate to the Executive Director of Finance and Resources, in consultation with the Chair and Vice Chair of the Shareholder Subcommittee, to commence recruitment for 3 independent director posts to the This Land Limited Board, and B, seek an update on progress at its next meeting. Unless I see any indications to the contrary, are we all in agreement? Thank you. We'll take that as carried. So item number 5, I will read out and propose the recommendation to exclude the press and public. To resolve that the press and public be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the grounds that it contains exempt information under paragraph 3 of part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972 as amended, and that it would not be in the public interest for this information to be disclosed. Information relating to the financial or business affairs of any particular person, including the authority holding that information. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Murphy. Can I ask any member who does not agree with this proposal to please raise their hand? I see no objections to the proposal, so we will take that as carried.